I made one big mistake in terms of my golf game. As a kid, as a junior golfer, I thought golfing was everything. I had loads of lessons. And where were those lessons? On the driving range. I didn't learn how to actually play golf. And that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. I'm going to take the last 27 years experience and package it all into one video to help you perform better where it matters out here on the golf course. Now, little disclaimer, there's nothing in here which is going to guarantee you 50 extra yards in your tee shot. And there's nothing which is going to make you more consistent than Rory McIlroy. But what I share with you in this video, if you take these tips and implement them into your game, you will play better, and that's the key thing. Almost every golfer out there, so you're probably going to fall into this category, your approach play will get better if you can improve the quality of your strike. And when we're looking at approach play, the ball is going to be on the ground. And when the ball is on the ground, we know that we need that golf club to strike the ball and then continue slightly down. And that doesn't always mean you're going to take a divot, but that low point needs to be target side of the ball and it needs to be underground. So here's what you can do on the course to help that happen. We've already spoken a little bit about swing thoughts and how we don't really want loads of swing thoughts, and that's true, but concepts and ideas are really good. So when I'm over the golf ball, I've got an A-zone here, I know that my low point needs to be target side of the ball and underground. So I'm almost going to visualize where that point is. I can't see it because it's lower than the ground, but I'm almost thinking about a spot which is, let's say, 2 to 3 inches target side of the ball and slightly underground. And if I can almost think about that point and swing to that point, it really helps me with my strike. It stops me kind of swaying off the golf ball and trying to lift the ball in the air because I'm not really focused on the golf ball. I'm focused on getting the sole of my club to that point that I'm sort of imagining and visualizing. So this is great. I love this. We spoke about no swing thoughts. Have this as a concept. It's really going to help. I've got my point. It's underground. It's in front of the ball. I'm going to swing to that. And that was perfect. So if you come and have a look at this divot, that's exactly what we want. My golf ball was here, I hit the ball, followed by the ground. That's the strike that's going to help you lower your scores. It took me far too long, far too many years for me to really understand the importance and the value to properly visualizing the shots you're about to hit. You've got to see the shot that you're trying to hit before you go ahead and do it. Now, when you do this, I want you to go through one of these 3 options. There's 3 real ways to do this. The first way you can do it is actually to stand back and actually just imagine yourself stood over the golf ball and watch yourself hitting the shot that you want. So visualizing everything, the ball flight, the trajectory, the curve, where it's landing, really trying to watch yourself hit the shot. The second way to visualize it is actually to imagine you're watching yourself on telly. So some golfers like to imagine that they're watching a big screen and they're almost kind of watching, let's say, the Ryder Cup or the US Open. It's them on that screen playing that shot and again hitting that perfect shot. The final one, this is the one that I tend to use, is when I try and feel the shot. So once I've selected the shot that I'm hitting, I want to have a practice swing, and in this practice swing I visually put myself over the ball. I'm going to try and create the swing and watch the ball flight through the air and everything about that. So I'm trying to experience the shot that I'm trying to hit. So one of those is going to be best suited to you. Once you find the one that is, do that on every single shot. So I'm really going to start to set up and feel what that low draw is like, really seeing the ball flight, and then once I've done that, I can then go ahead and hit it. This one was a really hard lesson for me to learn. 27 years later, I'm still trying to do it on the golf course. I find it really hard. And the lesson is, don't go for flags. It's rare that I'll be aiming at a flag, or it's rare that I should be aiming for a flag, especially when I'm outside of 120, 130 yards. Here I'm 160 yards from that flag. So for me, that's a pretty full 9-iron, but look where that flag is. It's tucked back left. Now, if I go at that flag, what I have to realize is that if I hit my 9 on the range, we're gonna have a dispersion. I'm not gonna hit the same shot every time, although I'd love to. So there's gonna be a grouping. I have to think about that grouping when I'm planning the shot out. My grouping would be obviously some left, some right, some long, some short. So if I overlaid that grouping on the flag, it means I've missed the green sometimes, even with an all right shot. So I have to factor that in. Yes, I want to visualize the perfect shot and I want to see that perfect shot. So I want to go through my routine. But when I'm planning the shot, I've got to plan with my typical grouping in mind. So with my 9-iron, it's so tempting to get drawn to the flags and try and hit towards them. But I'm going to go out to the right, there's a tree, I don't know if you can see it, right behind the green. I'm going to use that as my target. And I know that if I hit a pretty normal 9-iron shot, little left, little long, little right, little short, I'm always putting. And that's really good because that gives me a lot of confidence over the ball that as long as I make a pretty good golf swing, I'm going to be putting. The last thing I want you to do is make good golf swings and end up missing greens, in bunkers, not getting up and down and throwing silly shots away. So I'm going right to the flag, and as long as I make a decent swing, I should be putting. And I've hit that a little left of where I aim. That's perfect. How much easier would this game be if we could guarantee a perfect lie and a level lie every time? It'd be great, wouldn't it? But it's not the case. Golf courses are full of slopes and undulations and humps and hollows, and invariably over 18 holes you're going to be faced with some of those shots. How do you deal with them? Well, I was on the golf course with a really good player and he gave me this great tip which I still use today. It works when you're in a situation where you're on a downslope or an upslope. So here I'm faced with a pretty severe downslope. The ground is running away from me. We always want to be in balance. We want to feel in control. So what do? We lean into the slope. So my shoulders, my eyes are pretty level. That doesn't work from this situation. I'm not going to be able to even probably take the club away because the slope is in the way. And if I set up here, I'm likely to top the golf ball. So here was the tip. I was told to always make sure that my knees had equal amounts of flex. Now, as I stand here, my right knee has got more flex because it's absorbing the slope. If I move until my knees have got the same amount of flex, what that now means is that my feet, my knees, my hips, my shoulders, and my eyes are matched to that slope. So I now know that my golf club can work relative to the ground like it would do if it was a level lie. I've recreated a level lie, and the easy way to do that, as I say, was just make sure that the knees are equal flex. The only thing I would ask you to do is make a full speed practice swing so you can tell yourself what's about to happen. I fell forwards, that's fine. I accept that it's going to happen when I hit the shot. If I don't do that practice swing, here's what happens all too often. We set up nicely, we swing, we feel our weight going forwards, we don't want to fall over, we fall back, and we top it. Okay, so match the slope with your body, full speed practice swing, figure out what's going to happen, and then make sure you're okay with that as you go through the shot. That flag is 127 yards away, and that yardage is actually, for me, a pretty full 52. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. Or at least that's what I used to do. I now know a little better. Just look where that flag is. It's actually kind of right in the middle of the green. It's not tucked, it's not at the back, it's not at the front. It's really nice and accessible. So why would I stand here with a 52 and swing as hard as I can? Now I know a little better. I'm going to take pitching wedge, and I'm actually going to go down the handle a little bit, and I'm going to control the shot. Yes, it's going to go a little bit lower, but I'm going to get so much more benefit from that. I'm going to swing within myself. I'm going to control my follow through. So think about that. When you're using your short irons especially, don't always hit the club as hard as you can thinking you're going to get it there. Why not take one more, swing a little smoother, and just look at the difference in the control and the follow through when I take one more club. I want you to think about the distance that you're trying to hit the golf ball, and actually whereabouts on the green you're trying to be. Okay, middle of the green here is 151 yards. The back edge of the green is 165 yards. What I would love you to do is try and work those two distances out. 165, 151, and try and go between the two. So it's kind of 156, 157, 158, something like that. That's a great distance for me to try and hit it. Now, why is that important? Well, you'll be surprised at how many holes on the golf courses that you play, and this is a great example of that, where the trouble, kind of the bunkers, sits at the side of the green and at the front of the green. So on this one, if I can hit it past 151 yards, I actually get past the bunkers. So I'm going to avoid those hazards. And also what you'll find is many of the greens that you play, the further onto the green you go, the wider it gets. So if you try and hit the ball to the middle of the green, there's a very good chance you're going to underhit it. You've got a narrower green, you're going to find some bunkers. If I can try and hit it that 157, 158, I've got a much wider part of the green to aim at. And it means if I leak it a little bit left and right, I'm probably going to avoid the trouble as well. So for me, that's an 8 iron, which should give me, you know, about 160, a little bit of wind, should be that 157. That should be perfect on this hole. It's a good job I didn't hit that one. Hopefully you can spot, you should have spotted, why that wasn't the best place for me to set up. Aim was way off. I was aiming way, way, way left. Let me set up this golf ball and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to put myself in position, and we've got toes, knees, hips, shoulders and eyes that are all sort of parallel to each other. Now I could be aiming out to the right, out to the left, or about right. And if I look at the target by raising my head and rotating my head, my eyes are horizontal or near to it. And what do I see? I see everything. Okay, I get a great visual of the green, it looks great. It doesn't really tell me where I aimed. So if I take a setup here, aim what I think is probably out to the right, up, I see the green, no idea where I was aiming. However, if one of my looks is this, head swivel, I see bunker on the right. So I straight away know that my alignment was out to the right. So make one of your looks a little head swivel, and that'll tell you whether your alignment's good. If it's not, back off the shot and go through your same routines. Oh, left again. Everything's gone left today. This is the 16th hole. If everything that I've hit today has gone left, why have I not taken that into account? Why have I not aimed accordingly? You have to react to the patterns that you have that day. You have to learn from the shots that you've hit. Now the key point here is that you're not reacting to individual shots. I wouldn't hit my first tee shot left and then aim to the right in the second, but if I'm playing 3 or 4 holes and I'm seeing a pattern, react to it. Change your aim. Maybe pick something on the right hand side of the green, maybe something on the right hand side of the fairway and commit to that. I'd rather you do that than try and change your swing. What happens is when you play a lot of golf, if you try and make a little change to your golf swing, maybe you put the ball further back. Next time you play, you might put a bit more weight forward. Next time you play, you might make a grip change. Suddenly, 2 weeks down the line, you've made 7 or 8 changes, your game's fallen apart and you've got no idea how to get back to where you were. So react to patterns, find out what your pattern is that day. If I'm hitting it left, I'm going to pick something that's 10, 15 yards right of that flag. I'm going to trust that, I'm going to commit to it. It's probably going to go a little left, I'm probably going to get a decent result, and then I can go to the range and figure it out. So look at your patterns, pay attention to your patterns, and allow those to influence where you aim and the shots that you choose. That is a really valuable lesson that I learned far too late. One of the best pieces of advice that I got given was to leave my swing thoughts on the driving range. I was always working on my golf swing. I'm guessing you're the same. You always want to get better. We all want to get better. And so you probably have to make some swing changes, but that's for the driving range. Out here on the golf course, standing over that golf ball with 5 or 6 things in my head that I'm trying to do, it's never going to end well. Now, if you said to me, hit that golf ball and don't think of anything, I'd really struggle. I'm thinking, got to think of something. So I would happily allow you to play with feels, and that's what I do. So for example, on this shot here, it's a tough par 3. I've got 5 iron. I'm going to hit a pretty standard shot. In my swing, I'm always trying to stop the club getting kind of too much inside. So I feel like I have to work the club a little steeper. So as I practice swing, I'm just going to feel that the club head works up a little sooner. That's all I'm going to feel. Club head works up a little sooner. Again, club head works up a little sooner. That's a feel, it's a non-technical thought. I then can go in and hit the shot. And I might have a little bit of that in the back of my mind, but the key thing is it's a feel, it's not really a technical thing, and it's certainly no more than one. So a little bit of a feel in the takeaway, then go ahead and commit. So I really wish someone had told me the importance of having 3 specific zones around the golf ball for every shot that I hit. What are those zones? I call them PER, planning, execution, and reflection, and they need, this is the key bit, they need to be separate from each other. So let's go through what they are. I've got a shot here, it's 187 yards, I've chosen 6 iron, and the first zone is P for planning. So this is where I plan everything, you know, choose the club, factor in the wind, get my yardage, all of those bits of information which go into the kind of brain, if you like, and you then pick the shot and you choose your target. That's the planning zone. Once you've done that, you go into the next zone, which is E, which is execution. And very simply, that is when you go ahead and execute the shot that you've just planned. But here's the key part. I have to separate them really clearly. I've planned it, I've got my shot, I'm going to execute it. I use this as a commitment line. Once I step across that, I'm executing the shot. You're never going to hit great shots. You're never going to be consistent if you're thinking of the wind, you're selecting a club and you're entering this second zone while still a little bit mentally in this first zone. So how many times you've been on the course when you've got a 6 iron and you go, yeah, it's a 6 iron, and you walk in, you go, well, I mean, might be a 7. I don't know if have I got too much club here? No, I'll be fine. And where's that? Is that wind off the left or is it off the right? It's probably, yeah, it's okay. It's into. Once you've muddled those zones up, it's really hard to be consistent. So make them separate. Plan it, have a line. Once I've planned it, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to execute. So I've got my shot, I've got my target, let's execute it. And I am fully 100% committed to the shot that I'm about to hit. Once you've hit the shot, you go into the last zone, which is R, which is reflection. This is after the shot, I reflect on what I've done. Okay, this is when I learn. Okay, and very often you learn more from your bad shots. So let's say that finished short right of the green, which it actually did. Then I go, right, let's reflect. Maybe that wind was a little bit stronger than I thought it was. I'm going to bank that for the next time I play with the wind off the same direction. Or maybe I just didn't feel comfortable over the ball. I should have backed off. This is where we reflect on the shot that we've hit. We make some decisions. And then once you're out of that zone, that's gone and your focus is very much on the next shot.